So usually we can get on the same page with our travel plans, or at least I can convince her of my ideas, but not this time.
We'll be honest with you guys, travel is really hard right now. And it's not just the COVID restrictions, of course. They're not helping, but we've been having a really tough time agreeing on where to go next.
I mean, we've had some differences of opinion before, but this is the worst one yet.
So as you guys know, we were feeling a little too confident about the travel situation. It seemed like the pandemic was stabilizing, so we made a few bookings. In fact, a lot of bookings. All the way until May.
So all we wanted to do was spend the winter someplace relatively warm and sunny. So our concept for escaping the snow, it was going to be Spain for 2 months, Morocco for a month, and then finish up with a month in Portugal. So this was going to give us a whole lot of sunshine and keep us under that 90-day limit in the Schengen zone.
We spent weeks planning our itinerary, but then Morocco decided to ban all flights going in and out of the country, and suddenly we had nowhere to go after Spain. But before we get into our solution, a big hola y buenos dias to all you nomads and adventurers from Sevilla.
She's totally nailing the accent.
Hardly. Now, if it's your first time here, I'm Gillian and this is Stephanie.
So we're traveling the world full time, despite the pandemic, and just trying to bring a little more adventure into your life.
So we've been counting down our remaining time in Spain and urgently needing to lock down our plans because in just a few weeks, all 4 of us, 2 humans and 2 dogs, will be officially homeless. And we have to choose our next move really carefully. I mean, we're in the middle of another wave of the pandemic. It's not really the time to be flying from one country to another. We don't even have our booster shots yet because we can't get them until we head back to Canada.
So the options that we shared with you guys the other week, the best option would have been to go straight to Portugal and hope that we could get a visa extension. And we even tried calling for an appointment a few times. Finally, we looked at the Facebook page of the immigration office, and what we found there were literally hundreds of people complaining that they couldn't even get in the door. And we didn't want to be those people. We also considered going back to Eastern Europe, which is of course outside the Schengen zone, but there were 2 issues with that. We were just in Eastern Europe. We spent a couple beautiful months in Serbia and 3 whole months in Albania, plus we were in Croatia the year before. But most importantly, it's actually really cold there this time of year. Of course, we could only come up with so many solutions all on our own. We kind of just felt like we were going in circles. So we decided to crowdsource it, and we asked all of you. And that resulted in the most comments that we have ever seen on any video.
So we put the question to you. Where should we go in February that's relatively easy to get to from Spain and is outside the Schengen zone? And you had so many great ideas. Some of you mentioned options that are actually very close to us here in Spain, like Andorra, which is a tiny little independent state right within Spain, and Gibraltar, which is a British territory right at the tip of Spain. These were very creative options, but these places are both a little bit small and a little bit expensive to spend a whole month.
So we're going to take you through the top ideas. These are the ones that got the most votes, and some of them were actually very surprising. I definitely wouldn't have thought of them on my own. And if any of you are trying to make your own travel plans, this could be really helpful for you too.
So we got a lot of votes for Mexico, and it is a place that we'd be really interested to go back to, but we were hoping to do it as part of a larger sort of central South American exploration.
And it's a very long flight from Spain.
That's for sure. We also got a lot of votes for Ireland. It's a beautiful place, but maybe a little bit too chilly this time of year.
Actually, a couple people suggested that maybe we just hunker down by a beautiful fireplace somewhere in Ireland and just wait out the month.
Sounds cozy.
It does sound very cozy. We got a lot of votes for Israel, which was very unexpected. We actually did look into it, and it just turns out that our last vaccine was over 6 months ago, so we didn't meet their COVID requirements.
Have to get those boosters.
Yeah, we really do. And actually, Israel is a place that I've always wanted to go to. It just never seemed like the right time, and obviously it's not the right time right now.
Yeah.
So without further ado, these are the ones with the most votes. So we have, starting off with Cape Verde, 7 votes.
Yeah, well, so this is a country I'd only recently heard about. It's a set of islands off the coast of Africa. Very interesting option for like a beachy vibe during the winter.
Definitely. So because it is a number of islands, when I looked into it, it seems like you can take a ferry or maybe a little private plane to the different islands. And I did get as far as looking up whether they would accept a little dog in the cabin of the plane. Didn't get an answer. Okay. So next up we have Egypt with 11 votes.
Well, that one is definitely an interesting option. Most people were suggesting Luxor as a base, and we actually started looking at Airbnbs and found a couple nice looking ones.
Yeah. Now, for me, Egypt is a dream destination. I am fascinated by the history of ancient Egypt, and I absolutely have to go there one day. I just was sort of hoping to not do it during a pandemic. That was my big concern.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the next one with 13 votes was Tunisia.
Well, I really wasn't expecting so many people to suggest Tunisia, but I guess it makes sense since we're trying to swap out Morocco and they are in the same part of the world. I mean, it's not a country that I know very much about, but it's definitely something we could look into. However, these 3 destinations, Capo Verde, Egypt, Tunisia, they are all very interesting, but we wouldn't be able to go to Portugal from any of these countries because they're all restricted due to COVID.
So that's just another reason why it's becoming really complicated to travel during COVID.
Yep.
Anyway, the place that got the most votes, weighing in 29 votes, if you can believe it, was Cyprus.
We seriously considered Cyprus and even kind of figured out a loose itinerary. But the flights to get there from Spain were going to be really difficult. We'd have to like overnight in Germany, more countries to pass through.
And the cost of living in Cyprus was looking a little on the
very
high
expensive.
side. Yeah. So the country that received the second most votes and is the one that we are actually going to, so Gillian, drum roll please, Turkey, and specifically Antalya on the coast of Turkey.
Once we picked our destination, we thought it would be just smooth sailing. But this is actually where things started going really wrong again.
Very wrong.
There are some destinations in the world where it's really easy to find beautiful Airbnbs, those stylish, minimal, perfectly suited to our taste kind of places.
And then there are some destinations in the world where it's very, very difficult to find the Airbnbs that offer what we're looking for in terms of comfort and style, etc. Antalya in Turkey just happens to be one of those places. The Airbnb inventory there is just not what we'd want it to be.
Yeah. So for the hosts that do have really nice Airbnbs, they know that the tourists are willing to pay a premium and they charge top dollar, even like 4 or 5 times what you would pay for a longer term rental.
So for me, where I spend a month, that's the most important thing. I always want to choose to pay a little bit more and have all the comfort that I want. Of course, I don't mind going a little bit more rustic if that is supposed to be part of the experience. So when we stayed in a farmhouse for a few nights in Albania.
This is really nice. It's a simple room, but it's actually pretty spacious.
But generally, what I like is a nice apartment that I can call home and be really comfortable for a whole month.
I guess I'm just a little less picky about where we stay. As long as it has all the amenities that we're looking for, I can be pretty flexible. I really cringe at paying twice as much just to get that modern finish. Now, Stephanie found the one apartment that she really liked in Antalya.
Just one.
And it was way more than we've paid for any apartment through all of our travel so far. And this is Turkey, where the rents are so low. Meanwhile, I found a place that was much cheaper and still pretty nice, but she wasn't convinced.
So usually I can win Gillian over to my side, but it just wasn't working this time. And I definitely didn't want to stay in the place that she chose.
I don't know why.
I had many reasons. Anyway, after a lot of colorful conversation, we realized that this was a disagreement that neither of us was going to win.
So we came up with something else. Instead of booking a full month in one place like we usually do, we're turning it into a road trip. So we'll be spending the first couple weeks in Stephanie's pick. And then we'll be spending the next couple of weeks in the town of Cash, which is further along the coast. Now, Cash has really nice Airbnbs, and they're much cheaper than in Antalya.
So we have been to Cash before, and usually I would like to spend time somewhere new, but it's all about compromise.
So being really honest, it's not easy on a relationship when you travel full time. It means spending a lot of time together. I mean, back when we were working, we were guaranteed at least 10 hours a day when we could go off and do our own thing. So we've learned that we're not always going to agree on everything and that we need to communicate really well.
And be very creative in coming up with solutions that will work for everyone. So if you want to see just how many interesting and very creative travel ideas everyone came up with, and we're talking about hundreds, you can check out the next video right here.